What's up, guys? Riz, Flow, Yoga, Flower Bomb, Gretchen. What's going on? Welcome, welcome, welcome. It's that time again. It's Monday night. That means it's Floating Yoga Fundamentals. It's the book club time. Yes, indeed. Welcome Twitch, Instagram, Facebook, Periscope. That's Instagram. And all the other people watching from all the other places. What's going on today? We are getting into the last few chapters of the book, The Only Way Out Is In. If you're, let me know. If you watching live, let me know where you're at, where you're from, and maybe you got something about yoga you interested to ask a question or see what's going on. Drop a line in the chat. We're reading The Only Way Out Is In. We're on the last two chapters talking about Mysore, getting into Tantra, getting into the Shiva and Shakti story. So, let me pay some bills first. Before we get to that, some of the bills getting paid, I'd like to thank Boom, UE, Urban Yogic Wellness and Education, restructuring how we see health and wellness in our community, and bringing the power of growth and healing back into the individual's hands. Also, I'd like to thank No Commercials International for all of the vibes, for all of the music, the soundtracks, the things that are coming out that you just don't know about yet from that meditation group that's happening. No Commercials International. What else is there? There's merch. Check out the website, floatingyogi.com. Some dope stuff. Do you care enough about your mental space to meditate, or are you bullshitting on your greatness? Important question I ask myself each day. Am I going to rise to better myself, to be the best version of myself, to share with the world this day, or am I just going to sit back and be all right being mediocre? That's not for me. But if it is for you, get it how you living. I don't recommend it. Stop trolling. Get with the growth gang. That's what we're doing here. Outside of that, there's a whole schedule of things to be a part of to find different growth, different understandings of self, yogic philosophy, Ayurveda, Tantra. Monday night's the book club. This is where we're at. Tuesday, we flow it out. What we'll be reading on a little bit later on is the whole Ashtanga, the Mysore practice. We'll be doing that on Tuesday nights at 6. Thursday we have the midday meditations. We're going to get a discussion in. This week I'm going to be bringing in some concepts on love, relationships, but just relationships, not necessarily romantic relationships, but relationships, because the whole world runs on health, wealth, and relationships. We got to have one of those pillars in place. Outside of that, boom, 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 what do we have? And then Saturday there's Float and Flow. We're gonna take all the shenanigans we've been working on, cram them all into one flow session. It's 75 minutes. And then Sunday we have an elevated sift and flow here at the UE Center, where the shenanigans begin. And it's 420 sift and flow. Bring your tree, bring what you do. We're gonna learn some stuff, flow it out, and leave feeling a little bit more balanced and ready for whatever the week, the day has to throw at us. Outside of that, we're gonna get rocking with the book. We are on page 196. 196, and The Only Way Out Is In. If you have it, please turn to it and meet me there. As you do, I'm gonna get a little sip of water because I'm about to be talking my mouth off, and I need a little lubrication. Oh, thank you, Kendra. Appreciate the love. Yeah, baby Jimmy doing her thing. She up here looking all cute, doing what she do. Okay. And I'm back. On page 196, everything moves in a vortex. And we were talking about those different pyramids that they talked about, and this is the last of those three pyramids. Everything moves in a vortex. This is the last tetrahedron of the Ashtanga Yoga double pyramid. The wizard yogi lives in the realization of this energetic law that everything moves in a vortex. A vortex is a whirling or spiraling mass of energy with a center point that is pure stillness and silence, filled with potential energy. A perfect pure stillness and silence. A perfect example of this in nature is a tornado or a hurricane. In the eye of a hurricane, it's stillness and deafening silence. I have friends in Kauai who survived the Hurricane Iniki that hit on strategically enough 9/11/1922 and devastated the whole island. They told me it was very odd feeling the winds up to 180 miles per hour, 290 kilometers, ripping everything in its path and hurling it through the air. And then the eye passes over them. There was a stillness that was eerie beyond belief as the back end of it came several minutes later, spiraling in the opposite direction, continuing its rampage. All things in nature are represented in spirals. The DNA that is the genetic blueprint of our body and mind, the Earth spinning around the sun, our galaxy spiraling at 1,000 miles an hour through space, the way that all plant life grows, and the energy within a pyramid. In close examination, everything that exists has a circular flow to it. Nothing moves linear except mind and man. Ooh, nothing moves linear except mind and man. What could that possibly mean? I know for me, one of the ways that I see it is the dualistic properties, the masculine, feminine energy. Sometimes the masculine energy, straight lines, logical thinking, and the feminine energy, that free flowing, spiraling energy. That combination of the two creates the pathway, the trajectory, the direction that we're going on, and the things that come with it. Those energies, what we keep in line, those yamas and niyamas, help to build the conscious around it, and ourselves, that type of conscious. Beyond the body. We know we're talking about that. All right. Manas is the Sanskrit word which means mind. Drop the as or the ass on manas, and what do you get? Man. Mind equals man. Hu means God. So a Hu man is a God man or God realized, God consciousness man. Mantra literally means to lift you beyond your mind or to take you out of your mind. That's why it's such a powerful tool, especially Om or Aum or Aum, same one. This is our birthright to be a human being, but we must involve, spiral inward, as opposed to evolve, letting us involve ourselves in our life instead of evolve. Darwin got it backwards. It's not about evolution, it's about involution. Otherwise, we remain our brother animals. Once more, a secret revealed right under our noses. And I look at this one talking about we need to evolve ourselves in our lives in a simple form of we need to be more conscious. We need to make those choices, take those trade-offs, and deal with the repercussions so we can see the true outcome, how it's expressed in this reality. How are the dreams that we have in our head actually expressed and manifest in reality? Because we don't always get what we see in our heads in reality. I'd be curveballing like a mark. Anyway, and another little splash, Om, A-A-Um, A-U-M, are the three bass sounds the human vocal cords can make without the use of the tongue. So think about people who don't have that type of articulation, or deaf people, or what sounds do they make? A-A-Um. So what we're doing is getting back in touch with the bass instrument that we have to create vibration in this world. I continue. And the other concept, when he says, if we're not involving ourselves in our life, then we're like all the other animal brethren. That's in a sense of we're just following that autopilot. We're not transcending. We're not taking choices. We're not consciously directing our life and our path. Okay, there's a very interesting discovery that a group of archaeologists made while excavating around the pyramids of Giza, Egypt. They found that there's a pyramid going upside down into the earth. This adds a whole new dimension to the pyramid structure energetically. I mentioned earlier, double pyramids were used for sprout civilizations because they have twice the vortex of energy. One coming up from the earth and one coming down from the sky. Its main emphasis is to harness the prana life force energy into that central vortex of the pyramids. Prana is inside and all around us, and we are in a mini pyramid as well. So in connecting with these 6 directions, we are accessing the power of the pyramid in our living room. How to access it depends on how you open and how open you are to receive. Pyramids seem to funnel this energy to move through and get magnified. We have a tangible laboratory to play in, our energetic bodies. Knowing that this is available and it exists gives us permission to explore for ourselves. Anything that I ever read that seems a bit far-fetched or strange in yogic text begins. This is so facts. I'll say I'm gonna read it from the start. Anything that I read that seemed a little far out or strange in yogic text began to become my reality as I went deeper into these mysteries. Absolute facts. The more I study, the more I practice, the more I'm researching, the more I'm experiencing these things, and with an open mind, not just pushing it down or pushing it away. It spirals. It's out of control. Everything that I think is just too far-fetched just becomes a little bit closer in grasp. I then could go back to and read them and finally say, I honestly know what they are talking about. Before that point, I was simply more informed it was more information to fill my head and repeat back to people. To impress them, this made me feel like a hypocrite because I wasn't truly feeling or living it. And it took the energy out of myself. Since I was incongruent with what I was walking with, and talking, this is the vital importance. Be authentic. This is what I tell everybody. Be authentic and real with what you know, and your life will be one of flow. Absolutely. The more we step outside of that pace that we're graced with, the more that we put more weights on, the more that we throw off our timing. If we're supposed to be at a certain place at a certain time because we always have these routines, and then we're like, well, let me just jack it up today because, and then you throw it off, and it's like, or you shift your routine unknowingly. Oh my gosh, all the synchronicities start to fall away. What I'm describing here is to relax your mind through all of these methods. Then, when the time is right for you to know, you will. Stay open and patient. Trust that all is coming. There is a vortex of energy lying dormant at the base of your spinal cord called the Kundalini. It is rooted in the base chakra where the Mula Bandha gives you access to the Muladhara chakra. Most books on yoga depict an image of a cobra coiled up at the base of the spine. This image of a cobra was chosen because in ancient times, people were more in touch with nature, so they could choose things in nature that represent energies of the subtle realms. They observed how a cobra would miraculously rise up from the ground and stand straight up without legs. That was mysterious to them, which is now experienced in the current of energy up the spines. In modern times, with this familiarity of technology, we could describe this energy as electric. It's an electrical current that we can access a switch, if you will, at the base of the spine called Mula Bandha. It is the magical button for these wizard yogis. We are in fact bioelectric organisms. As Guruji has said, control your anus, Mula Bandha, and the world will take care of itself. Facts. Yeah, close your mouth, close your ass, and the world it'll do what it has to do. Just do your action. Yeah. Oh my gosh, so smooth. What we're doing in yoga is waking up or switching on this Kundalini energy, that latent spiritual force that goes up the central axis of the spine called the Sushumna Nadi. On either side of this central nadi are two additional pathways called the Ida and the Pingala. These are related to Hatha and Hatha Yoga. Then they weave back and forth at each chakra from the base to Muladhara to the third eye, the Ajna chakra, and ending in each nostril. Right nostril being the Pingala or Ha, and the left nostril being Tha for the mind. There is a symbol in Western medicine called the caduceus, and the insignia consists of a staff and two serpents spiraling around with wings spread wide at the top. The staff represents the spine where the Kundalini moves. The two snakes wrapping around the staff are the Ida and the Pingala. Hippocrates, the father of modern medicine, at 400 BC, brought forth this symbol from the earlier Greek physician Asclepius from 1200 BC, which I imagine he got from yoga, since yoga 8000 BC predates Asclepius. Just a wild guess. So that's what we were talking about before. The Kadisi is that doctor symbol that you see. The wings that spread out. Let's start. The staff itself is the spinal cord. The coils going up are those two nadis, the Ida and the Pingala. The fire and the the Ida and the Pingala. The Pingala, the fire, the Ida, the lunar, and they coil around the spinal cord. Each of those intersecting coiling points is one of those chakras, and it goes all the way from the coccyx, the tip of the anus, all the way to the crown of the head, and they're directly correlated to the nostrils, which is why those alternate nostril breath works that we've been doing are pretty daggone crucial and help to balance the both hemispheres of the brain. The chakras are the infamous pathways of the serpentine Kundalini energy, which starts in the root chakra and culminates in the brain at the pineal gland, represented in the third eye. The pineal gland in the brain is magnetically charged, igniting the light body of man and blossoming a new flower of the seventh chakra, the Sahasrara, the 1,000-petal lotus at the top of the head. That's the one I was talking about. Boom. The seventh one that we mainly deal with in the like American chakras for real. We really don't get too deep into beyond that, but there are more. It's like 144 of them, but that's another story. The physically cocooned caterpillar is now a spiritual butterfly. A resurrection occurs, and our spiritual eye, the third eye, opens wide. Then we have metaphorically speaking, grown wings of spiritual flight. And that's when the wings come in. That means that the consciousness rests there. It's like it's just coasting, just as opposed to constantly ascending and descending the spine, or going from heaven to hell if you're in the biblical references. There's a whole bunch of references for it. The chakras are the infamous pathways of the serpentine Kundalini energy, which starts at the root chakra and culminates in the brain at the pineal gland. I read that. Okay, it's funny because the Kadisi symbol that medical doctors use as the single emblem to represent their profession, which I'm sure most doctors don't have any idea what it really means, happens to symbolically represent the same process of resurrection in traveling up the spine from the root chakra. And magnetically crystalline pineal gland is charged, causing the chain reaction from within, resurrecting the Kundalini energies, the Kundalini energizing the pineal gland and causing a morphic response that allows you to unfold spiritually the cells in your body. So this is saying as you're going through these different chakras, what we're really doing is releasing different energies, releasing different traumas, things that we were holding on to allow for this type of like healing, regeneration / evolution. And that's the shift in our cells. The cells begin to vibrate at an accelerated rate. They move so fast that disease is no longer possible in your physical body. Thereafter, you will probably never need a doctor again. I will say this. I'm not saying you will never need a doctor again, but I will say that the need to look outward for verification or validation on what's going on within you kind of just floats away. You kind of like see the cycles. You see what you're doing to yourself. You see these changes that are making. You see the growth and you see the side effects or the repercussions of some of the growth or the process towards that growth. So it's like, all right, no, I'm just sweating this way, or my sweat smells like this because I was drinking last night, as opposed to, oh, I thought I would be so much better. Because no, just because you're healthy, if you still take that trip off, you still have to detox the body, which is the whole purpose of meditation, the whole concept of doing these asanas and flowing, and the breath work as well. That really helps me get in touch with my sinuses. I don't know what the hell is going on until I do some breath work, and then I sit for a minute. Then I can feel and understand where those areas are closing off, where I'm becoming a little bit lackadaisical, and can add a little bit more of that conscious direction that we're talking about. Let's see. Each chakra has a latent spiritual force that has awakened the Kundalini. as the Kundalini rises. The first is Muladhara, which is security, and its color is red. So once we feel more secure, we allow ourselves to open up for the energy to flow to those areas, not just physically, but also mentally, which opens us up mentally. When we're more sure-footed about our decisions, it's so much easier to continue down a progressive path. The second is Svasthana, which represents creativity and is denoted with orange. The third, Manipur, is power, or color is yellow. I like to look at that as willpower. The fourth is Anahata, which is love, and the color is green. The fifth is Vishuddha, and it's divine communication and communion, represented as blue. The sixth is Ajna, which is clairvoyance, and it's the color indigo. And the seventh is Sahasraha, which is infinite wisdom, and it's liberation, which is the color like crystalline violet. Notice all 7 colors of the chakra make up the rainbow. Roy G. Biv: red, orange, yellow, green, blue, indigo, violet. These will also come back around because just like I mentioned, those height, width, depth, mind, body, spirit, and solid, liquid, gas, how those are all different pyramids that coincide and play into each other. These chakras are another one of those systems. It's just not necessarily a pyramid, but it is another geometrical shape, which we may get into on the next book. I'm not saying what the next book is out loud until we get finished with this one. Duh. Anyway. The root chakra corresponds to the planet Saturn, and the zodiac is Capricorn, which in turn corresponds to the metal to the metal lead. Leo is chakra 7, which corresponds to sun and gold. As you go up the spine in coordinates to the metals of each planet, we see that lead turns into gold, and this is the reason behind the work of alchemy, which is said to turn lead into gold. It's symbolic of the serpentine Kundalini energy as it's rising up the Sushumna channel at the top of the head, causing the sleeping one to awaken, to be born again. And Jesus once said, "Truly, truly, I say to you, unless one is born again, he cannot see the kingdom of God." There's a whole bunch of air quotes in here. If you have the book, you can check out how they're throwing all these pun words in there and more so pointing out a different perspective as opposed to one that could be easily implied by the way that it's written. The principle of everything moves in a vortex gives an added mysterious touch to the whole mix of the pyramid code. The universal matrix of life moves in this way when you can tap into that with your own energetic body, since you are a part of the greater whole. Based on everything else I've gone over up until this point, you can see a theme. There is an inherent energy born out of your beingness. Once yet another vehicle to ride while traveling inward and upward. Summary of the pyramid code. These 4 pyramids essentially switch on the magnetic attraction inside by bringing your awareness to them. This then allows you to see clearly beyond the restriction of your limited mind. The more you remove the weight of your thoughts and feelings through your connection to presence, the less effect they have on your conscious awareness. Remove the obstacles and instantly you are back home. Yes, as you space out and drift off into the past or the future, these magnetic attractions draw you back to your central core of being. In experiencing the inside-out principle through Bandha's breath and drishti, the Tristana method, you can then come back to presence. Grounding up from the second corner of the pyramid helps you to be present by grounding through your physical energy first, anchoring you to the earth within and around you, thus establishing the principle of structure and integrity. The third corner of the pyramid is gross to subtle. You begin with the physical body over time, and you move more and more ethereal energies all around you. You're watching, feeling, experiencing the physical body first to then be able to connect with the subtle energy currents, the nadis, and chakras. Lastly, all energy is in the form of spiral vortexes. Understanding how to use them can help you to pierce through the veil of darkness, which inhibits our going higher. The combination of all of these tools are what guides you through the light within yourself. So those are I feel like the pyramid summary might have been better than the whole section, because damn, it broke it down. But they did touch on some interesting points, like mind, how the mind works, the concept of God. Now we have the Mysore style, Ashtanga Vinyasa form, the most ancient form? Question mark. I'm gonna take a sip. That's what I practice. I'm telling you now. Damn it, this will get your whole life together. And I ain't been to the gym, and I ain't been in better shape in my life. Hydrate and hydrate often, my friends. So yeah, I think we're gonna stop after the Mysore one. Let me see. Yeah, we're gonna stop it after we break down Mysore, because Mysore is, I love Mysore. That's my practice, and you'll understand why. Oh my gosh, you'll understand why. Do you like to be told what to do? Do you like people telling you what to do and how to do it, and then giving you validation that you're doing good, as opposed to being able to look back for yourself and see that you've been growing, see that you've been changing, seeing the steps that you've taken, and like actually walking in your journey? Or would you rather have someone tell you your journey? This isn't a trick question. I'm actually curious. You go and drop it in the chat while I keep. So the next section after we finish this is the Tantra part, the pathway to divine ecstasy. Don't let that confuse you. He's going to drop some gems about what it really is, not the shit that's out here now. All right, so we are on page, it does not have a page, 203. There's no number on here, but that's where it is. Mysore style, Ashtanga Vinyasa Yoga, the most ancient form? Question mark? I feel like I'm introing Soul Eater anime or something. The most ancient form? Anyway, the subject of whether Ashtanga Vinyasa is the oldest known form of asana has been an issue of debate amongst the yoga community for decades. Most of the other forms of Hatha yoga are very recent. By recent, I mean within the last 100 years. Pause. Slavery been around for Jim Crow, but it's been around for since Jim Crow. They got pictures of Rosa Parks doing Ashtanga. One of my homies just posted yesterday. I reposted on mine, but just follow me. 100 years ago, first yoga came to America in 1893 with Swami Vivekananda. But it wasn't until the early 1960s, my mom and dad were alive, during the massive hippie movement, when the Beatles were doing meditation with Mahasharahi Mahesh Yogi, that its fire was ignited. In the 70s, Rajneesh, later known as Osho, the guy we're gonna be dropping some gems on Thursday with, created a strong interest in consciousness in his practices. Later on in the same decade, there was yet another wave of yogic enthusiasm, stirred by various styles of asana, practice such as Iyengar, which is a variation, Kundalini, and Bikram, which gained in popularity through the 80s and 90s. It was also during this time that offshoots or altered versions of Ashtanga like Power, Hatha Flow, Vinyasa, also Rocket is a new one that's been popping recently. They had a BLM Rocket Yoga training. Let's go Brandon and Ahmed. Let's see. In 1975, when the onset of Ashtanga began in the West, Guruji came over to teach his first tour. He was part of the second tour in 1978. The source of Guruji's teaching comes from the ancient text known as the Kuranta. I honestly feel Ashtanga is the most complete, yes, and precise method reflecting the essence of yoga asana. And I triple down on that. It is most certainly, from what I've been experiencing and what I've been practicing and seeing, the most precise and complete. Because a lot of them are they only take you so far mentally. They only take you so far spiritually. They only take you so far physically. This one puts you in the position to prepare you for the next step at each turn you're in. And it puts you in the mindset to be able to see it and make those shifts and changes. So it's not, again, like someone telling you what to do or how to do. Asana is a particular method used to explore consciousness. It becomes a mirror for the body-mind. It is unique to each individual how one approaches the practice. One of the best ways to do this is to create an environment where you allow yourself the personal journey to unfold in each moment. This is the beauty of the Ashtanga Mysore method. Most other styles of yoga asana are constantly pulling students out of their experience by instructing the class the whole time to do the same thing. It's like a childhood game of Simon Says or Follow the Leader. Everyone is at a different place in their own journey and development, so the experience must match that individual. I don't know any other group or style which addresses this issue except for the traditional Mysore style practice of Ashtanga yoga. I got a stamp on this and pause because, yes, it's like a wild practice. It can seem like a wild practice, or there's advanced asana and all this other stuff. However, it's at your own pace. So you see where you are, and then once you're in there and you're not able to do the pose, you know what you are able to do. So then you can stop, reassess the situation, and see what small step you can make to put your body in a better position to later on down the road, as it opens up, access it. Yo, I'm just telling you. Oh, and then I got like injured, and then I'm still able to do my practice. I'm still able to see the same teacher, still able to keep my same routine, and still feeling amazing after I finish practicing. What? Come on now. In the Mysore style, an individual is given the freedom to practice alone, yet within a group setting. The qualified teacher then has the ability to assist each person as they see fit. It allows them to give personal, specific instruction to that individual, whether it be physical or verbal, without disrupting the rest of the room. This experience is very similar to one-on-one private instruction. Yep, that's how you can grow. You have your own practice, and someone comes in and gives you little cues here, little tips and tricks there, and then the growth is exponential. A qualified teacher will never give a student more than they can handle. They can determine this by observing the quality of someone's breath, focus, and awareness, as well as their body type. At one point in history of Ashtanga yoga, I believe this was the mid-80s, the Iyengar method began to spill over into Ashtanga method. This was extremely helpful at the time, since we needed the additional information to assist us in cleaning up some of the poses. We were hurting ourselves and pushing others too hard in the practice, like using Nike-like enthusiasm. Just do it. Getting on our mats and going for it like Iyengar practitioners, and the teachers are curious and began to check out the Ashtanga classes. Out of that, they started offering comments and suggestions to better stabilize or establish body safety standards. For example, vulnerability points. Now, it was helpful to a certain extent, but when it got back to be too heady, meaning too much talking in the class or the use of props, they took it away from the flow of the Ashtanga sequence. The value of the Iyengar method, or any other method, is that it supports the mechanics of the body and asana. This type of teaching is great in a workshop setting. So I agree with that. It's great in a workshop setting, inside a class. If I'm teaching a class and we're flowing, I inhale, arms up, and exhale, fourfold, or like whatever cue it is. Like, let's say it's inhale, right foot, warrior one, press down, back heel down, press through the feet, palms touch, look to the thumbs. That's a lot of words. That's a whole lot of words. You sitting there waiting, trying to figure out what's going on. But in a private setting, that can be done. In like this Mysore setting, I can give these little finite cues to help. A workshop is a way to give more detailed look at how things are done, and the daily practice is to discover for yourself what works and what doesn't, with individual differences considered. Mysore classes. They serve two completely different purposes. To stop and go, Iyengar style is not appropriate for a flowing practice like Ashtanga. It breaks up the continuity created in a Mysore atmosphere. Guruji always quotes Vamna Rishi in the Yoga Karunta and says, "Oh Yogi, do not do asana without vinyasa." In other words, do not practice asana without moving the breath and without movement and breath associated with them. It is the combination of both. You do not lose your heat, and it allows for a deeper level of conscious awakening. If not, like a friend of mine once said, we're only jumping around like a bunch of wet monkeys. The main point of asana, after all, is vibrant health. Saying one style is better or more spiritual than another is ludicrous. No matter what form of yoga asana you choose to practice, make sure that it takes you in. Otherwise, it's just another glorified form of stretching. When I first learned Ashtanga, we were taught to take 8 breaths in each pose. 8 breaths in each pose. I mean, I had to do that when I was like rehabbing my knee. Warrior 1, Warrior 2 is a lot of the bent knee postures. I would hold those a little bit longer just to strengthen the knee and the muscles around them that supported it. But damn, the whole practice, 8 breaths. And I know there's a whole bunch of other wild variations. Maddie Bell was talking about them. G and I tried some of them. I encourage you to give it a shot if you're into that life. Now, the standard is to take 5 breaths in the led Ashtanga class. Let me take a minute to speak about the led Ashtanga class that are being taught around the globe. They are subject to the same predicament as any other led class from any other tradition. People definitely compete with each other, and their attention is distracted. My understanding of how the lead class began was about 10 years ago. Guruji started leading people through the Ashtanga primary series while counting the vinyasa out loud. This was started as a method to teach the proper vinyasa of a sequence, since over the years he saw many people practicing incorrectly all over the world. So he wanted to create a consistent, coherent method guiding us back to its original form. Out of all of the lead classes was born. Now, Guruji teaches lead classes on Fridays and Sundays. Before this time, it never existed in India. In a Mysore class, it is appropriate to take no longer than 5 breaths per pose. Perhaps even more breaths on one side, or modified pose, whatever is suited the individual's body needs. I personally encourage this method of practice. I recently read in an interview with Manju Joyce, Guruji's son, where he says, "Of course you can modify the pose to serve the student. My father did this with me in the beginning of my practice." I think Guruji is often misunderstood since he doesn't speak fluent English, and when he does, his words sometimes gets twisted around. I know from being with him for years, his intention is pure. He comes from the school of thought, 1% theory and 99% practice. Yeah, no, I gotta jump in on that. 1% theory, 99% practice. Do it, show me the results. And he doesn't spell things out. It's not the Indian way. That's facts. That's why they don't really talk much in Mysore. It's like, did you feel it? Did you get it? You do? You got it? Next. Hold up. What are we talking about? Feel what? Where is it? Is it in my back? Is it in my leg? What? Hold on. But you said exhale chaturanga? I guess we'll figure this out another time. Unfortunately, students who have not put sufficient time into their practice end up spreading misinformation. Lord, with a capital T at the end. So much misinformation. I gotta sip on that in a moment. All right. Oh yeah, and FYI, that Tuesday class, that Mysore concept, I'll be teaching that with Ahmed at Sukha Studio in Clarendon. That's going to be happening in January, so come on through. We got a whole bunch of things in store. We got a whole bunch of growth. Until then, if you want to get familiar with the sequence, Tuesday nights. By donation, you are welcome to bring that ass virtually. And check out my website, thefloatingyogi.com, and you can join into the flow class. We do a lead practice, and I got a whole bunch of prop options, ways to use them, when we should, and then when we should like lean off of the props. Okay, the sun salutations, Surya Namaskara, worshiping the sun or sun. Another reason why I say Ashtanga is the most ancient form is the fact that the whole practice is based on Surya Namaskar, the worship of the sun. The emphasis is on the transformation of the sun living within us and the acknowledgement of its power to sustain life on our planet. The sun god is depicted as far back as 10,000 BC in the oldest known source of recorded symbols, hieroglyphs. The ancient yogis worship the sun by performing this right facing east towards the sun, the rising sun, and chanting mantras going with each movement. We do this practice in Ashtanga yoga, except we now do it without chanting the mantras. Although this is how Guruji learned it from Krishnamacharya. We do Surya Namaskar throughout the whole practice, keeping the fire of the sun, Agni, stoked within us. We know that Agni is the internal fire, that digestive fire, stoked within us for divine purification. Tapas, we know that that's one of those niyamas the intensity of our spiritual practices, and inside and out. Some of the forms of Hatha yoga teach Surya Namaskara, but Ashtanga method has it as a consistent thread woven throughout its entire practice. The sun in the sun, S-U-N and S-O-N. So I think he about to get a little biblical here, but that is what it is. The sun in the sun. Here's where it gets very interesting. Some say that Christ is the Son, S-O-N, of God, is actually representation of the S-U-N. There were enlightened beings like Buddha, Krishna, Muhammad that walked on earth, but Christianity took it to a whole new level to elevate Christ to be the only begotten Son of God. Here's what Thomas Paine from 1773 from 1801, a radical revolutionary during the American colonies, struggled for the independence from England, said about Christ and Christianity. The Christian religion is a parody of the worship of the sun, in which they put the man called Christ in the place of the sun and pay homage to him. The adoration is originally paid to the sun. The Bible seems to be more about astrology than anything else. Christ had 12 disciples, which represented the 12 signs of the zodiac. The sign of the cross is the symbol used for dividing the zodiac into the 4 major groups: earth, water, air, and fire signs. Notice the similarity to the 5 elements of Ayurveda. December 25th is the proposed birthday of Christ, is merely a pagan day that worshiping the star Sirius began to be the brightest in the star at this time. Easter, the day that Christ said to have risen from the dead, represents the time where the transition from the darkest time of the year moves into the start of the lightest time. There are many more coincidences. If you want to do your own research, by all means, watch the documentary Zeitgeist, The Spirit of an Age. That's actually a good one. You can actually watch that one. I would encourage you to as well. The story of Christ means the anointed one, like Siddhartha. Being called Buddha, awakened one, in the Bible was developed politically by the Roman Emperor Constantine in 325 AD. The Bible is the first Christian document made by the Vatican, which has ruled the world for the past 1700 years. It has been enforced by whatever means necessary through physical persuasion during the time of the Dark Ages, the Crusades, the Inquisition, and in the form of the mass guilt, which works quite insidiously by eating at one's heart, giving the people in power their best tool of control. Knowing this puts into perspective the hidden messages in the Bible, but it doesn't take away from the fact that the sun is the most powerful force on our planet to sustain life, along with the symbol it represents to purify the body and soul. There are gems scattered throughout the Bible, yet we must know what to look for to understand their deeper meaning. Along with this, we must explore other sources which add to the missing parts deleted from Christ's message, or anything or any other mystic's words. Yeah, there's been a whole bunch of deleted books. Check them out. It comes down to this. Jesus was a divine messenger, but his message of love got twisted to serve the organization built around him 300 years later after his death. Facts. That's why I'm keeping all the rights to my shit. I'm just saying, they ain't gonna play me like that. All right, let's see. What time we got? Oh yeah, we got some more time. And we got what? 1 Ashtanga yoga and Ayurveda. Oh my God, they're just so phenomenal. Are we even gonna be able to? Oh, yeah, we got to do it because Tantra's up next, and we could fire that up. We hit Tantra for the next 2 weeks. They got the magnetism of the pineal gland, how we can create that. The Shiva Shakti story, how we can really hypercharge that law of attraction, the law of vibration, which is a predecessor to the law of attraction, because you have to vibrate on the right path and understand the laws of energy, frequency, and vibration for the attraction to happen. That's coming up. Don't worry about it. Just stay tuned. I got you. Okay. On page 209, Ashtanga Yoga and Ayurveda, the Mysore style practice of Ashtanga Vinyasa Yoga is based in Ayurveda. Each individual needs to find his or her own way of using the principles of their yoga practice. Guruji specifically mentions the book Yogamala on page 41 as the bodily constitution, prakriti, of each human being is different. It is important to practice the asana accordingly. To me, this is the firm statement addressing the Ayurvedic approach of Ashtanga Vinyasa Yoga. If your prakriti or vikriti is either Vata, Pitta, or Kapha, how do you practice Ashtanga Yoga? Since Vata tends to be unsettled or ungrounded, the first step is to get yourself grounded to the energy of the earth through the Mula Bandha, which is very important to start your practice. It gives you a sense of center, of rootedness to get into your body and energy. Mula Bandha helps you to keep your body, your energy built up inside from leaking out, while at the same time it stabilizes the pelvis. Other grounding force is bringing awareness to your feet, legs, standing pose, establishing the ground up principle, that second pyramid, which helps you to connect to the earth as well as grow roots. You can stabilize and strengthen your roots of gravity through your feet and legs and help with Mula Bandha. Next, you want to increase the heat in the body because Vata tends to be cold. Facts. My hands, my toes are cold right now. I got on socks. I got the heat on like 78. My toes are froze. Right meow. I digress. Okay. Next, you want to increase the heat. The Ashtanga practice heats you up. Typically, those with a lot of Vata don't sweat that much. I sweat like a whore in heat. No, wrong one. Damn it, I keep saying the rain one. I sweat like a bitch in heat. It just be boom. I don't know how much female dogs sweat, but I'm right there. Just protrude. Oh my gosh. Most Vata, okay. It helps them to detoxify the body and increase circulation too. This practice is very good for digestion, and Vata people frequently have irregular and sometimes poor digestion, absorption, and assimilation, and elimination. Also, if you want to slow down your breath and movements, to slow down your mind and thoughts, all of the movements in Ashtanga Yoga will be flowing with the breath. Vata people tend to hold their breath or be very shallow or breathe very shallow. Hearing the sound is beneficial since the sense of hearing is also associated with Vata. People with increased Vata tend to move their eyes a lot. This energy is dispersed via the eyes. Remember, 80% of energy that is allotted for our senses goes out through the eyes. So drishti in the pose can be another way to direct the energy in. The last thing for Vata to do at the end of the practice is relax completely. Savasana. Relax your energy is so important for Vata, especially if you are always on the go. Vata equals movement. Facts. Then you can see when you need to sit down and shut up. Ashtanga Yoga is also a great practice for a Kapha person. Think about the attributes of Kapha. To create the attributes of Vata in the practice, because they're the opposite. Since a Kapha person tends to be slow and heavy, you want to speed up the breath and movement to create more lightness. Kapha people have the tendency to be lazy and don't bring a lot of energy into whatever they're doing. They have to be stirred up and bring more intensity into their practice. Heat is very good for Kapha because it is their tendency to be cool. An intense fire will also help to liquefy the kapha to start losing weight. There'll also be more energy and enthusiasm, which the Ashtanga practice can give to them. The main thing for Pitta people is to back off the intensity. Main thing for Pitta people is to back off the intensity of the practice because they're very fiery and intense about everything. Because Ashtanga Yoga is naturally a fiery, intense practice, and it's important for Pitta people to slow their practice down. They need to make their breath slow, calm, more relaxed. Pitta people need more space because they're usually so driven to accomplish and to go the next level of practice. They love to be challenged, which stirs them physically and mentally. This can end up being a form of torture since their tendency is to not back off, but to want more. This is the beauty of understanding Ayurveda. Each dosha has its different qualities, and when they're recognized, it becomes easier to address the needs of the individual. This is especially important for teachers who can make tremendous differences in how they communicate to their students, which enables them to not only understand themselves better, but to practice whatever lessons they need to learn. You know the expression, you teach what you need to learn most. Listen to your body. If it needs rest, let it. Watch that your mind doesn't take over in your practice. Be honest about your energy. Ayurveda states to work at half of your capacity. This means that if you can run 10 miles and you're exhausted, then run 5. Many people tend to spend all their energy and every time doing an activity, and then there's no reserve left. Those ojas we were talking about before. Each time they do this, they weaken their immune system along with all the other vital organs, heart, lungs, kidneys, etc. This is important to remember, and yoga and Ayurveda remind you to be aware of this. Also, Vata and Pitta students need to watch their ojas since the wind and fire can dry it up. So Vata and Pitta need plenty of ojas increasing things in their diet and lifestyles. Rest days. I like to mention the importance of rest days, appropriate for all 3 doshas. Some students want to practice straight through all 7 days a week, and others, should I practice every day or is it all right if I do a couple days a week? He tells them to practice regularly. Only take days off on Saturdays and on moon days and full moons and new moons. Rest days are crucial in order to maintain a healthy, balanced practice, and it's very easy to disturb your prakriti, your constitution, under practicing as for a kapha person or over practicing for vata or pitta person. Like since the baby got here, I've had like just sun salutations. Like that's it. Sun salutations and meditation. I haven't been going no primary, no standing, nothing. There's a lot of new, so instead of adding more new, more change, my body's already been. I built up the basis, the foundation. I've been doing this for like, I haven't taken a week off in like 6 years. So, yeah. I think it's okay. Right. Rest days, they're important. Doesn't mean that you're injured. It just means you have something to take care of. Do it. They say women take the ladies' holiday off. I would read all that, but I'm going to say I encourage you to talk to G. Send G a message about that. She has done numerous 6-month trials to year-long trials to figure out practicing when does what to her and makes what shifts. I know she doesn't practice like the first 3 days of her period now, but she hasn't had that in a while. But still, same thing holds true. And I'd encourage you to, if you have any questions about the lady holidays, hit her up, send her a DM. One last thing in relation to practicing, I tell people that even if you only do a little every day, for instance, Surya Namaskar or some standing and finish, is better than a sporadic practice once or twice a week. And that's just what I'm saying. Let me just get these sun salutations in. Let me get 3A, 3Bs, and on my day. 3A's, 3Bs, take my rest because I'm Vata. I know I need to balance out the... Stop. Rest. Be on. Okay. I practice regularly because for me, it's like brushing my teeth or taking a shower. That part. I got to do something. Do you only do this once a week? It sounds ridiculous, but of course you brush your teeth and bathe regularly. It's part of your healthy lifestyle. Also, if you practice regularly, there's no need for panchakarma or radical cleansing regimens. If you're constantly wringing out your body of any toxins, that ama, then that may have been accumulated over time. This is the whole point of doing fast or panchakarma, is to take herbs to cleanse. Practicing regularly the Ashtanga yoga method keeps all your organs and tissues vibrant, so you are less likely to feel the need to cleanse or fast unless absolutely necessary. Because I know everybody's going on a fast, going on a diet. What are you doing that you really feel as though you have to do all these different types of purges? And if you do, then it'd be like that. The weekends sometimes do be a detox to retox. I might have to get a little, I'm not a big drinker, but some wine, that don't gonna get me right every time, you feel me? Come on now. In conclusion, I want to sum this up and remind you that the most important thing regarding yoga is that it's necessary to first establish a firm foundation with asana. The first thing of the yoga ladder, look at the postures as a door to enter into a deeper world of Patanjali's Yoga Sutras. The best way to enter is by going deeper into your own physical body first. This is your laboratory to explore before entering the more refined, subtle energies. The more sensitive you become in your physical body, the more naturally eventually you will gravitate toward things that bring you balance in your everyday living, including healthy relationships, food, environments, colors, scents, books, movies. The best news about this is that you don't have to look for someone else to tell you what's good for you. Through your connection of the source of all that is, everything becomes revealed to you spontaneously. It's important to listen to the needs of your body, not the desires of your mind. Then all of this is available right now. Until you integrate into your everyday life and living, it only remains another philosophy. More knowledge spinning around in your head, taking up space. Live the mystery and see what it shows up. The more awareness you bring to everything you experience, only then can there be true freedom. For how can you have free will or freedom if you're not free enough to react? If you're not free from the reactive mind. Again, Patanjali sums it up beautifully in the second sutra. Yoga is the ability to quiet the mind. Silence and stillness are its fruits. Your freedoms await you by going within. I'm going to say that one more time because there's no guarantees in that statement, and I love it. But it gives you an idea of where to look, and if you're conscious enough, if you're observant enough, you can see. Yoga has the ability to quiet the mind. Silence and stillness are its fruits. Your freedoms await you by going within. And in building and harnessing all of this potent, juicy energy, now what do you do with it? Well, Tantra has a solution. This energy is like precious gold. Spend it wisely, invest it in your future in involution, in and up. Let's explore this very controversial subject in the next section. So, we'll stop here, page 214. Next time we'll get into Tantra. A whole nother, the last of the pyramids of health. What do we do with this energy? What is that spiritual? What is this? Like, why, now that we have this reserve of this energy, we can really tap into it and see how it affects our life. Different ways we can utilize it into our day-to-day life. Outside of that, that is it. Damn it, I actually closed it. Hold up. Outside of that is it. My name is Jarek, the Floating Yogi. I'm here every Monday nights. Tuesdays we flow. Thursdays we get our mind right. Saturdays we flow. Sundays we are in person. Elevated Sift and Flow. It would be great to see you. How can you do that? You can hop on my website, sign up for the newsletter, thefloatingyogi.com, and sign up for a class while you're at it. Everything's by donation. It's about growing together. It's about flowing together. It's about creating community and building a better future. What else is there? I'd like to thank UE, Urban Yogic Wellness and Education, again for the sponsorship, restructuring how we see health and wellness in this reality, and bringing the power of growth and healing back into the individual's hands, back into your hands. I'd also like to thank Surreal Audio Solutions, No Commercials International, No Commercials, for the sponsorship as well. You can check out my meditation track on all streaming platforms. We'll also be incorporating this into some of the further things to come. We have some fun shenanigans happening, and I'll be releasing another track, another meditation track, and an album coming up. So I'm excited about that. Hopefully y'all are too. Hopefully you're telling a friend, bringing a friend, and dropping a little cash in. What else is there? I think I covered all of the bases. Yeah, I did. So, peace and love, kings, queens, and gods. Thanks for flowing. Thanks for stopping in.